Hi everyone, my name is Julia Lichbinska, and I welcome you to our new podcast series, Collect Yourself. Some people collect art and watches, and the outstanding personalities collect themselves. Stay tuned. How did you like how we set up today?
I like it very much. I think it's a very nice line of moving hands that display the rings. And it's a way of combining the objects that are in the showcases and absolutely. The movement. So you see the influence of a ring on your body language, on your gestures. Yeah. And I like that very much.
And when I was at your studio, you told me this wonderful story, right, about the dot, which everyone has. So that's also maybe something interesting for you. It has another layer, like a bit of the social, political level. Yeah. Maybe if you can speak shortly about it.
I was given the opportunity to meet a person in India in 2014 when I had my big exhibition at Gallery Kemmel. And Reshma, she had a very beautiful gesture with her hands, very naturally. Yeah. And I asked her whether we could take a few pictures with my rings. Yeah. And she was immediately in the story, and she tried on rings and just moved, and I just could click, 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 make the pictures. And the nice thing on the pictures, you see on several of them, she has a black dot on her index finger. And that is a very special sign. All the Indians know what it is about. It is not that she had that she was hurt or hit, something like that. This is the sign that she has been voting.
Oh, okay.
In India, when you have gone to the vote office, they make you with a black pen, indelible, they make you a sign on your finger that you cannot go back
once again.
Time.
Yes,
exactly.
Otherwise, you need to cut your finger.
We all remember this was 2014.
Yeah,
when Mr. Modi was elected.
Beautiful. New era has started.
Exactly.
Esther, could you please give me a small introduction into studio jewelry? What it is, or what is this meaning about? Auteur jewelry, you also call it. Maybe just briefly, that we also understand that we are not in the Chopard store or Cartier store. So we are at something different tonight.
Exactly. It's funny because this question is very often asked to me, of course. Studio jewelry was used in the USA for a very long time. And then I think the Germans came up with the term Autorenschmuck.
Okay.
And so I think many of us, we adopted this.
But it's already 20th century, right? It's already like after Second World War time.
No, this is from the 90s. Studio jewelry is from the started in the 1950s, 60s, especially in Germany, Holland, Great Britain, and this movement of independent jewelry was started after the Second World War. Yes, but this terminology of Autorenschmuck or others jewelry came up in the, I would say, in the years 2000 and following. And of course, what means author's jewelry? It means that as any other artwork, it is the fruit of an independent creative mind. It is the fruit of, of the intelligence of a mind and talented hands to make something, to translate an idea, to develop ideas, and to translate it into materials that are chosen to underline the idea, to make it as meaningful as possible. And I would
I
say
see
that
it actually. I could experience that in the place, in your studio, the place where you live, that everything is handmade, everything is created. So for you, if it's a textile, it's hand woven. If it's ceramics, probably it's also handmade. So also at your place where you live, where you work, it's also very special, by the way, place. Maybe you can speak shortly about it. It's an old fabrique, right? A watchmaking fabrique. How has it been, like, how it all started for you? You know, like this love for man-made products, you know, man-made creations. Also the selection of materials, of techniques. Could you just maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah, that is of course, it's a very old history. It's a very old story. Already, when I was a teenager, I liked very much to work with textiles, to make batik, to make jewelry with wire, etc. In the 60s, 70s.
Was it traditional in your family, or?
No, I'm not. I'm not born into an artistic family, unfortunately, I would say. But I was always attracted by materials and by, especially also textiles and all kind of different materials, and to make bricolage. That's you know, at that time we didn't have handies. We had much more time to read and to do things with our hands. And I think this taste for working with materials is something that is a real drive for me to create objects. It's a very, very important inspiration. It's a very, very important way to find solutions also, because depending on the material that I use, different solutions offers to me, and I cannot do anything with any material. So it's.
But can you speak also about the selection of the materials, because they're not typical for the jewelry brands? For example, if we speak about Cartier, so this is also what you use. They're a bit different.
Exactly.
How did you come to that?
And that I could add, this is another specificity of author's jewelry, that we are working out of the field of precious material. Our thinking of value doesn't lie in the material, in the intrinsic value of material like gold and precious stones, etc. For me, the fact that I can transform, for instance, iron or a knitted piece of something, that I can transform it into a piece of jewelry which will be precious, which will be cherished, which have qualities that I qualify as luxury. This is my luxury of in my work.
So it's going in the direction the fine art, right? Where the concept, the idea, the creation takes the primer.
You could say so, because I'm not working for customers. I'm working of my own motor, of my own energy, and I work together with galleries who sell my work.
Yep. And who was your main inspiration during your young years? You know,
I can tell you a funny story. When I went for the first time to Art Basel, it was in 1973, and I was just hesitating on what kind of direction I should take. I was shifting between interior architecture and jewelry and also ceramics. And at Art Basel, on one of the booths, I saw these two boxes with rings of Dieter Roth. The one is the zoo rings and the other one is the hat rings. And I found these boxes with these pieces of jewelry absolutely fabulous. And I thought, that's what I want to do.
And we also own you the whole creation of Geneva School of Contemporary Jewelry. So that was thanks to you that this department was created, that also School of Applied Arts turned into university, or the School of arts, of fine arts, right? Would you maybe tell about this journey, how it all started, how, because you were also for a longer time there, right? From 87 till 2005, if I'm not mistaken. And you as a young jewelry designer, as a young professional, where did you get all this power, to convince the academic people?
Yes, that's I'm always wondering myself, how could I have this ambition? But it happens. It happens as I think. First of all, I think that I'm a very lucky person. I have in many periods of my life, I was very lucky to be at the right time at the right place. So. And also, I think when I see opportunities, I jump on the possibility. And that's how it started with this class, jewelry class at Geneva University. I was teaching already at École des Arts Décoratifs when the whole process of Bologna started in Switzerland, which means that there is for instance, Kunstgewerbeschule, the schools for applied art, they were to be upgraded to a higher level as in other countries in Europe and the whole world. Well, I was there and we were asked to make projects for this. How could this higher education, what kind of shape and what kind of content could this higher education have?
But if I understand it correctly, it was still part of a design department, right?
It was within the School of Applied Arts in Geneva. And the School of Applied Art has different departments.
Yep.
I studied myself jewelry there.
Yep.
And we were trained, of course, for the Geneva market, luxury jewelry. Yep. So I have learned all these techniques not to set stones, but to construct pieces to hold precious stones, etc.
Yep. Have you ever dreamt to work in one of these houses?
After my 4 years at the school, I have been working in a studio in Geneva where we produced high-end luxury jewelry. But for me, it was just to give a finish to my education, to get some more practical experience and practice what I have learned at school. But somehow I have always had the ambition and really the desire to do my own things. And not only design, but also to make it with my hands, because I love working with my hands and I love to elaborate this work and this process while I'm working. This is it's also a very important motor for my creativity.
That's everything is one hands, right? So to say that, because as far as I understand, these manufacturers, you have to do your part of work, then deliver to a certain person, then he does or she does polishing and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And that was also your philosophy that you shared with your students, right?
Yes.
I could read in your catalog some of the testimonials of your students, and it's really fascinating. You taught them how to see, how to feel the material. And earlier, before we were speaking with Jaco Schisser, a professor at ZHDK in Zurich, and he was also saying that in many cases, not many artists recognize it, but materials, they have Eigenart, like Eigensinn, like they also have their will, how they want to be manifested, how they want to create.
Yes.
Could you just maybe give us a couple examples, from your teaching period, maybe some moments which you remembered, or maybe what was your philosophy, how you encourage students to work on their own, because most of them, they became goldsmiths or they founded studios, even galleries, right? So you influenced them very much in this sense.
I hope so, and that was also always my aim and my main goal, to give them energy and to give to transmit my passion for this matter of jewelry. That was my main goal. because that is what you need when you are young. You need to be supported in your passion. You need to be supported in your way to find your own language, to find your own interests within a field, because there are so many different kinds of interpreting, making jewelry. There are many, many different ways to do that. And as you just mentioned, some of my students became gallerists, specialized in authors' jewelry, of course. Some others, they work for big brands.
Okay.
Some others, like me, they became independent jewelry makers. Some of them are internationally recognized also. And some others, I have completely lost their traces. That is also, that happens also sometimes.
Like life, a river of the life, right? Which makes it turn. Also, what is interesting, like we will come now to the philosophy of the jewelry. What is jewelry for you? But maybe if you just sketch just briefly your philosophy, you know, also how does, or what is that what you would love to create? What kind of experience do you prepare for a person together with your jewelry? You know, opening the box, jewelry box. I know that you name it differently. I know that you name it container, right?
It depends.
Okay.
Box, container, pouch. It depends. It depends on the material.
Okay, but what is that? What you wish for a person to encounter, to discover, to feel like when they first encounter your art piece?
For me, jewelry is something that you wear, of course, and that you play with. And what is very important, what you can feel, is the weight of a piece, is the texture of a piece, is how it feels in your hands, how it feels around your finger, etc. Or you can touch your earrings, etc. And when you don't wear it, you can put it back in a box, and the box is the place where you place your jewelry when you do not wear it, right? And you put it in a box. It means that it's something precious, even if it's not gold, even if it's not diamonds, but it is something that is precious. You store it in a box, and then you rediscover the piece when you want to wear it again. You rediscover the interior of this box, and you may see not immediately a ring as in a traditional jewelry box where the ring is just like on a socle. Here in my boxes, the ring is rather a little bit hidden maybe, and you see something which is already interesting, and then you take it out of the box and you have already this experience of playing and of manipulating, because you take it and you look at it and you try to find out, how can I put it on my hand? You see, this is a kind of vessel. You put it on your finger. It's too big for your finger, and you can hold it back with a second ring that makes you feel comfortable. You don't lose it, but you can play with it around the finger, and you can move your hand, and it influences your gestures. So with these rings, I realized how interesting and how important it is to work on this concept of a ring and the space in between the ring and the finger.
Okay.
I think this is something unique, or it's something special, because it gives you really a different experience. You experience your hands in a different way when you have such a big ring which is moving. And I tried to develop. I had other ideas for other shapes. One other shape is the sphere. It is a hollow sphere, which is like just if you pushed your finger through it, and this is the ring. The ring contains the knuckle.
Yes.
It is hold at its base here. It has to fit on your finger here, that you don't lose it when you move your hands. But here it is open, that you can still move your finger, and you're quite free in your movements. And the third shape that I developed within this finger vessel idea is the shape of a bell. It's like a bell made of metal, forged metal, gold or silver or iron. And this one is held back with a little knitted part, like a little stocking that holds it back on your finger.
It looks
And again, you are quite free to move with this ring.
And can you exchange the textile afterwards?
It's I try to make it quite easy to handle, but honestly, I must say for most of the people, it's not so easy to change. It would be, for me, I can change it quite easily. I can put another color. But for
professionals, they have to ask you
yes,
come back.
I think it's easier.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I work with galleries, I said.
Yep.
So most of the time, my jewelry is exhibited on a table in showcases. And you see, when I put this little ring on a table, it looks quite lost. It is within the space. It's a very small object. And when I place the box next to it, beside to it, this box acts as a scale, as an object that defines another scale. It's not anymore the body that defines the scale, but it is within the room.
Yeah.
And this is also one of the roles of my boxes.
Okay, I see. And they're all handmade, right? As I understand.
Mostly.
Most of them.
Mostly.
Okay.
Mostly. And it allows me also to use materials that I don't use for my jewelry, like felt or MDF. This is bamboo with urushi lacquer. Of course, different periods, different series have different boxes.
And we're coming to that. I know that you, as a wife of diplomat, had the chance to travel to very distant lands, such as India and China.
Yes.
And the first trip was 5-year longer trip to China, and. As part, you surely as a wife of a diplomat, you have to welcome guests, take care of the house, take care of all the mission, of a foreign country in this new land. But you also had a chance to meet the local jeweler makers, to meet local, maybe other craftsmen also. You had, depending on the countries, you encountered different materials.
Yes.
What was it for you in China? What did you encounter there?
China was definitely jade. This is the most precious material that you can find in China. Chinese people also appreciate jade as the most valuable material. And for me, this was a very unique opportunity to create pieces made of jade. Of course, I cannot cut the stone. This is not, I don't have neither the capacity, neither the competence to do that. Yeah. So it was a way of getting in touch with local artisans, with local craftspeople, to get my ideas realized in jade. And when you live in a very different culture, I think this is it's a very good way to share something and to get deeper into another culture when you can produce something together with other craftspeople. It was not just buying something or consuming something. It was about sharing experiences and also working with very different ideas. Because when I came in the beginning with my very simplistic ideas of a cylinder ring, they said, "Oh no! I cannot do that." I came with a drawing.
What was difficult about it?
I didn't understand because they were carving Buddhas and cabbage and very complicated things. And he said, no, I cannot do that. So I went back and I thought, how? I have to communicate in a different way. So I made a wood model, exactly the shape that I wanted. I went back to him and I said, "Can you please copy this?" I said, "Of course, no problem." It was just the way how to communicate with him, because of course this was a very simple shape, but he was not sure when I came with the drawing. He was not sure that he could read the drawing.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But when I came with the object, for him it was not a problem.
Yeah, he can touch and he can really make the copy. But speaking about the copy, copying is not something bad in China, right?
No.
And you made actually a whole series of the broach about copy. Could you please maybe speak about this?
It's about the faces. I wear the double of a red face. It was of course about my experience of being a foreigner in another culture. This was my first experience to be the foreigner, because when you are here, you see many, many foreigners. But here in China, I was the foreigner, and people stared at me, and not in a discreet way as we try to do. They stare at you very openly, and I was wondering how do they perceive me? How do they see me? And that's how I got the idea to have another face that I can wear, that everybody. Fortunately, we are not always the same. In different situations, we show another face, or with different persons, we can show other faces, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are not one
face.
One face. So I thought it's a good idea to create brooches where I can show another face. Yep. Which is maybe a funny one or a severe one or whatever. And when I had this, I did drawings with the red thread that you can find everywhere in China, where people hang their little talisman on their pockets or handies, etc., etc. And I use this thread for designing this, for drawing these
you laid
faces. I laid it exactly and fixed it with resin and pigment, and then I had these faces and I printed it on a sheet of wax, which can be cast in metal, in silver or gold, etc. So I have exactly this. I have the original, and it's double. It's not a copy, because it's not exactly the same.
Yes.
It's a little bit different. And I think, and what I understood in China is, when you are copying a thing, you try to understand how it was made, and you try to do it better. You try to develop something more, and that is the goal of copying something.
Yes.
So I found this idea very.
But it also leads to another story, which we know from the Chinese market, when the Swiss watchmakers tried to launch the watches in China. The Chinese were always buying two watches.
Yes.
And one to lay at home, that it stays and waits for you at home. But another one they took with them.
Yes.
Maybe that was also for the reasons, to double check in the time, that when they come back and they just see, it's the same timing. But also it was a symbol, more like a talisman, right? That something is waiting for you at home.
Yeah. Above all, it's about the yin and yang. It's about the balance. It's about what is in your house, what is in your intimate space, and what you have outside in the public space. And that was the reason why they had always two watches or two objects that you wear, that you take out of the house.
Yes.
Always a double, always a twin. And that is also an idea which I love. I like that idea very much. And I used it not only with the red faces and double, I used it also with some pieces with the cloud pendants, where I have two, which are also a mirror piece.
Yeah, it can also be shared with the two maybe friends. One way
shared by two friends. It can be shared by a couple. It can be shared by parents and children, etc., etc. There are many possibilities to interpret afterwards this attitude.
And come into the form of cloud. When did it come? Why you decided to
This
cloud?
is also very Chinese.
Okay.
You know, the cloud is an omnipresent pattern that you see in temples, you see it in architectures. It's painted on ceilings. It's for columns. You see it in many places, and I think it's of course it's also the symbol for change. That nothing is stable. Things are moving, things are evolution.
And the change has come. You had to move to India. How India was different?
Very different. Very different. Another very strong culture, very strong impressions. And what I took from India was patterns, ornaments, colors.
But you also became more figurative, right? You started to take the flowers, the patterns of plants, incorporate them in your work.
Because I decided how to introduce pattern or ornament in my work. I was working in very simple shapes, mostly with metal, sometimes with textiles, etc. And I wanted to introduce the pattern, how to do that. And I realized that I could use the technique of enameling, which is one of the techniques in Indian Mughal jewelry. And I could find an enamel master in Jaipur, in Rajasthan, who I visited and who was immediately interested in working, in collaborating again with me to do something together. He is something like a national treasure. He is a very, very highly talented and skilled artisan in India.
And how is it in India? Do they also inherit the skills, father to son, or
yes,
it's schools of tradition?
He is the descendant of a whole chain of artisans. They came from Turkmenistan.
And it's Kamal, right?
Kamal Kumar.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Kamal Kumar.
How different is enamel from what we know, cloisonné, enamel, or?
No, we know the same. We have enamel. You can do it with different techniques. This is enamel champ levé. I think even in English they call it also enamel champ levé. But you have the cloisonné, and you have a third way of enameling. I just forgot the name, but anyway, their speciality is the champ levé. That means that you carve off the pattern of the metal, of the thickness of the metal. You create caves, and there you put the material, the enamel, which is a kind of glass material. It is quartz with pigments that is powdered, and it's a very old technique, and it needs a lot of experience. And every master has his own colors, has his own recipes to have these fantastic colors, and that's why
some of them they're like transparent, right? And some of them are very solid color.
Yes, exactly. You have the two kinds: the transparency and the opaque colors.
And you could design that with him, right? You could design.
I made the rings. I made the metal work, and I draw on the rings my patterns, and he just followed. But he followed my design, but he interpreted the lines of the carving, and that makes the richness and the depth of this, especially for the translucent enamel. That makes the whole difference. I mean, if you have someone who has no taste, who makes just straight lines, he has really these fluent lines, which makes the object just very beautiful.
Amazing. And you discovered also another gemstone in India. This is the polka diamond.
Right, yes. Wow.
And you also use it in your jewelry, like polka diamond. They use sometimes in their like garments, right, to decorate the clothing.
They are used on garments, and they are used also on these, also on the Mughal jewelries, and very often they are combined with enamel.
Yeah.
Polki diamonds are a specialty in India. Indeed,
Yep.
it is a very low quality of diamond.
Yep.
Cut into very thin slices and just slightly faceted, but not like as we have the diamonds with the 54
Yep.
facets, etc. It's but I think it's just a very beautiful stone, and
It's a bit like a mirror, right?
It looks, when you see it from far away, you just think there are little small mirrors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. What is there's what you work in at the moment? I know that you work with a very special wood, and we have some brooches made out of this wood. Could you maybe elaborate on that?
That's my latest material that I discovered.
Okay. How did you do that, by the way? I wanted to ask this.
because I have my eyes open, my ears open, and when I see something interesting, I always try to know what it is, and sometimes I can get it, and also some people, they bring me interesting materials because they know that I like materials and that I'm interested in special materials. And that was the case with this subfossil oak. The subfossil oak is pillars of wood that have been used to make foundations, to construct houses, etc., thousands of years ago.
Okay.
And the wood that I got actually comes from the Zurich airport area. When I think they were digging for a new landing surface, and they found thousands of those pillars in the ground, and they have to take them off, and they are now stored somewhere. And I know a person that works in that place, and he told me, you can take one or two of these pillars. We have thousands of them. It's an archaeological material, but it's not forbidden to use it. So it's not like ivory or something. I am allowed to use it, and I just I'm now in the beginning of trying to
learning this material, right?
Exactly, exploring how to work with it, and it's super interesting. I like it very much.
So it takes time to learn the characteristic of material, right?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about recycling material? Because now resources are getting less and less, right? And we also have to think about reusing, reappropriating, right? Some materials, some pieces which were part of our daily life, and basically, 21st century should become age of recuperation. What is your idea on that as a jewelry maker?
That's a very, very important question, and it's not always easy to respond because you see, I work with gold, and as we all know, gold is it's not only in terms of weight a heavy metal, it's also heavy in terms of human lives and all kind of horrible stories that we know about the gold mines. First of all, I would like to say that I try to make jewelry that will be living for a long time. I try to make objects that are not finished within 2 years or 3 years. I try to use the material in a way that it lasts. And you can see in my exhibition, my language, my shapes are rather
universal.
I don't know whether classical is not a good term, but universal, you say? Yes, I think so, because they are simple shapes. And also when I see my work that I started 30 years ago, I can put pieces one next to each other, and they don't seem to fall out of fashion or something like that.
Yeah, timeless.
I really try to do things that last in time.
What makes you feel that the form is timeless? You know, what makes you like make this decision? I mean, we all try to make something, to create something that is stays for longer, right? I mean, in our best scenario.
So, Julia, I think there are people, they try to do things, for instance, fashion.
Okay.
Well, now we are in a period that mind is going to change, but I mean, basically, fashion is there to have things that are not in fashion anymore 6 months later.
Yes.
And accessories, for instance, they are not meant to be to have a long life.
Okay.
No, I think there are different ways to do things, and talking about. I think I wanted to talk about gold. Of course, gold is something that you can use it hardly, and gold, you can always melt it, and you can always reuse it. And I work with an enterprise where I buy my gold, because, of course, I don't go in the mine and find it myself. I'm not Marina Abramovic, who found 200 grams of gold in the desert, as I saw recently in the exhibition. I work with an enterprise. They say that the gold that they use, that they sell, and that they purify is gold that has already been something else. So this is already recycled gold.
Okay. I would love still to come back to the form, you know, to get to the answer because, you know, when we were installing the installation just a couple of days ago, and you brought the brushes, you know, like this binacles, you know, where you go look through.
Yes.
And the forms, I mean, when I saw them for the first time, sure, I knew that they were yours, but that could be an object found, you know, thousands of years back, you know, even like from Bronze Age. They were so timeless, they were so universal, you know, in the shape and its form. What is, I mean, I'm asking for your secret, yes, but also maybe what are the signs, you know, when you recognize, yes, that's the form? Is it like a result of many tries, you know, is it like that you try and see in that, or is it an immediate, you know, envision, then you realize that, oh, I envision this form and I want to come to it? Like, how is your thinking process works here?
That's difficult to say. It's, you know, they are all very simple shapes. For instance, these brooches that you are reference to, that you make a reference to, they are also as the rings are a conical shape. It's like a vessel. The bell is a shape that we know since ancient times. The sphere is a very basic shape, and also this you could have found I don't know, in a grave 2,000 years ago, and all these shapes which are shapes coming from ancient times, like a vessel, amphor, sphere, like a seed or like a capsule of an organic fruit or something like that. I think this is a part of our common heritage of
human heritage
of shapes, of things that we try to interpret for our use. Coming maybe from nature, or coming from mostly I think coming from nature.
And is nature also your main source of inspiration, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I like
what is
nature.
Your source?
My source. Everything is my source. Everything. I love contemporary art. I love architecture. I'm interested in modern contemporary dance. I'm reading a lot, and while you're working, ideas pop up, and then you need some time to introduce them into your mind, and until they get onto, they come up to the surface, and then you can work with it and develop. And often, yes, in a very unexpected moment, I'm sitting in a concert and suddenly I have an idea, or I can connect, things connect together, and then you find a solution to materialize.
Do you work every day in the studio?
Almost.
Okay.
Not every day, but almost. Continuity is a very important.
It's being consequential.
Yes.
Esther, thank you so much for this talk.
Thank
you for this wonderful exhibition, and I hope we enjoy it tonight.